Tonight is 19th August. This is the third night. We are talking on the Itivuttaka. We were at chapter 3, the trees. We came to 3.40. Tonight we come to 3.41. Aga Pasada Sutta. Monks, there are these three foremost kinds of faith. What are the three? Whatever beings there are, whether footless or two-footed or four-footed, with form or without form, percipient or non-percipient, or neither percipient nor non-percipient. Of these, the Tathagata is reckoned foremost, the Arahant Sammasambuddha. Those who have faith in the Buddha have faith in the foremost. And for those with faith in the foremost, the result will be foremost. Whatever states there are, whether conditioned or unconditioned, of these detachment is reckoned foremost. That is, the subduing of vanity, the elimination of thirst, the removal of reliance, the termination of the round of rebirths, the destruction of craving, detachment, cessation, nibbana. Those who have faith in the Dhamma of detachment have faith in the foremost, and for those with faith in the foremost, the result will be foremost. Whatever communities or groups there are, monks, of these the Sangha of the Tathagata's disciples is reckoned foremost, that is, the 4 pairs of persons, the 8 individuals. This Sangha of the Lord's disciples is worthy of gifts, worthy of hospitality, worthy of offerings, worthy of reverential salutation, the unsurpassable field of merit for the world. Those who have faith in the Sangha have faith in the foremost, and for those with faith in the foremost, the result will be foremost. These monks are the 3 foremost kinds of faith. This is foremost for those with faith, for those who know the foremost Dhamma, having faith in the Buddha as foremost, worthy of offerings, unsurpassed, having faith in the Dhamma as foremost, the peace of detachment bliss, having faith in the Sangha as foremost, a field of merit unsurpassed, distributing gifts among the foremost. Foremost is the merit that accrues, foremost their life and beauty, fame, reputation, happiness and strength. The wise one who gives to the foremost, concentrated on the foremost Dhamma, whether he becomes a deva or a human, rejoices in his foremost attainment. These are the 3 precious things in the world, triple gem, Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha. 3.42 Jivika Sutta. Monks, this is a contemptible means of subsistence, this gathering of alms. In the world, monks, it is a form of abuse to say, you alms gatherer, wandering about clutching a bowl. Yet this means of subsistence has been taken up by young men of good family for a reason, for a purpose. They have not been reduced to it by kings, nor by robbers, nor because of debt, nor through fear, nor from loss of an alternative means of livelihood, but with the thought, we are beset by birth, aging and death, by sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief and despair, overcome by suffering, afflicted by suffering. Perhaps an end can be discerned of this whole mass of suffering. So this young man of good family has gone forth into homelessness, but he may be covetous for objects of desire, strongly passionate, malevolent, corrupt in thought, unmindful, uncomprehending, unconcentrated, of wandering mind and uncontrolled faculties. Just as a brand from a funeral pyre, burnt at both ends, and in the middle smeared with excrement, can be used as timber neither in the village nor in the forest. So by such a simile do I speak about this person. He has missed out on the enjoyments of a householder, yet he does not fulfill the purpose of recluseship. He has missed both a layman's pleasure and his recluseship too, the luckless man. Ruining it, he throws it away and perishes like a funerary brand. Far better for him to swallow a fiery hot iron ball than that immoral and uncontrolled he should eat the country's alms. This brand means a smouldering piece of wood. So, if a person goes forth and he doesn't practice as a monk should practice, then he's wasting his life and he's losing out on the lay life, and he's also losing out on the monk's life. It's neither good for anything, not good for anything, just like this funeral brand, a smoldering piece of wood, you can't use it for anything. 3.43 Sangatikana Sutta. Monks, even though a monk might hold on to the hem of my robe and follow close behind me step by step, if he is covetous for objects of desire, strongly passionate, malevolent, corrupt in mind, unmindful, uncomprehending, unconcentrated, of wandering mind and uncontrolled faculties, he is far from me and I am far from him. What is the reason? That monk does not see Dhamma. Not seeing Dhamma, he does not see me. Monks, even though a monk might live 100 leagues away, that means 1,000 kilometers away, if he is not covetous for objects of desire, not strongly passionate, not malevolent, uncorrupt in mind, in thought, with mindfulness established, clearly comprehending, concentrated, of unified mind and controlled faculties, he is close to me and I am close to him. What is the reason? That monk sees Dhamma. Seeing Dhamma, he sees me. Though closely following behind, full of longings and resentment, see how far away he is, the desirous one from the desireless, one unquenched from the quenched, a greedy one from the one without greed. But a wise person who by direct knowledge has fully understood the Dhamma becomes desireless and tranquil, like a calm, unruffled lake. See how close he is to him, a desireless one to the desireless, one quenched to the quenched, the greedless one to the one without greed. So seeing the Buddha is seeing the Dhamma, seeing the Dhamma is seeing the Buddha. 3.44 Aggi Sutta. Monks, there are these three fires. What three? The fire of lust, the fire of hate, and the fire of delusion. It should be raga, dosa, and moha. These monks are the three fires. The fire of lust burns mortals, infatuated by sensual pleasures. The fire of hate burns malevolent people who kill other living beings. The fire of delusion burns the bewildered, ignorant of the Noble One's Dhamma. Being unaware of these three fires, humankind delights in personal existence. Unfree from the bonds of Mara, they swell the ranks of hell. Existence in the animal realm, asura, demons, and the sphere of ghosts. But those engaged in practicing the Buddha's teaching day and night, ever perceiving the body's foulness, extinguish the fire of lust. Those best of humans, by loving kindness, extinguish the fire of hate, and they extinguish the fire of delusion by wisdom that leads to penetration. Having extinguished these fires, unwearied night and day, those discerning ones attain Nibbana and overcome all suffering. The noble seers, masters of knowledge, wise ones with perfect understanding, by directly knowing the end of birth, come no more to renewal of being. This is the third paragraph. It talks about hell, animal, ghosts, and asura demons. These asura demons shows that this part was added later, because there are no asura demons. There are only asura devas and devis, according to the Digha Nikaya. The later books talk about the four realms, four planes, four woeful planes of existence. Earlier books talk only of three. Next sutta is 3.45. Monks. A monk should so investigate that as he investigates, his consciousness is not distracted and diffused externally, and internally is not fixed, and by not grasping anything, he should remain undisturbed. If his consciousness is not distracted and diffused externally, and internally is not fixed, and if by not grasping anything he remains undisturbed, Then there is no coming into existence of birth, aging, death, and suffering in the future. When a monk has abandoned the 7 ties and cut the cord, his wandering on in births is finished. There is no renewal of being for him. So a monk his consciousness should not be distracted outside, and internally is not fixed. Not sure what this means. Not grasping anything. Normally in other suttas they talk about the mind not being, having sloth and torpor, etc. Okay, 3.46. Kammuppati Sutta. Monks, there are these 3 ways of obtaining the objects of sensual desire. What 3? There are those objects of sensual desire already existent. There is the way of those who delight in creating them, and there is the way of those who gain control over objects created by others. These are the 3 ways. Those who enjoy what exists, those devas exercising control, those who delight in creating, and others who enjoy sense objects. Being in this state or another, they cannot pass beyond samsara. Understanding this danger in objects of sensual enjoyment, let the wise person abandon all sense pleasures, those both heavenly and human, by severing the flow of craving, the flow so difficult to overcome, of greed for pleasing, enticing forms. They attain to final nibbana and overcome all suffering. The noble seers, masters of knowledge, wise ones with perfect understanding, by directly knowing the end of birth, come no more to renewal of being. These 3 ways of obtaining sensual desire, those objects already existent. This refers should be human plane and the lower devas. And those who delight in creating them are those in the 5th heaven of the sensual desire realm, the Nimanarati heaven. Then those who gain control over objects created by others, this is the 6th heaven, the highest heaven in the sensual desire realm, where they make use of other devas to create for them. That heaven is called Paranimitta Vasavati. 3.47 Kama Yoga Sutta. Monks, one bound by the bond of sensual desire and by the bond of being is a returner, one who comes back to this state. One freed from the bond of sensual desire but still bound by the bond of being is a non-returner, one who does not come back to this state. One freed from the bond of sensual desire and freed from the bond of being is an arahant, one in whom the taints are destroyed. Fettered by both these bonds, the sensual bond and the bond of being, living beings continue in samsara, journeying on to birth and death. Those who abandon sensual desires but have not reached the taint's destruction, fettered by the bondage of being, are declared to be non-returners. But those who have cut off doubts, destroyed conceit and renewal of being, who reach the asava's full destruction, though in the world have gone beyond. One bound by the bond of sensual desire are ordinary beings, and the one bound by the bond of being is an anagamin, it's a returner. By the bond of being is a non-returner. One bound, or the first one is bound by the bond of sensual desire and of being. It's a returner, that means an ordinary person. And then the second one is freed from the bond of sensual desire, but still bound by the bond of being. It's a non-returner, it's an anagamin. And anagamin has attained the 4th jhana, so he's freed from the bond of sensual desire, but he still has a being, a self. And then the last one is the arahant. 3.48 Kalyana Sila Sutta. Monks, a monk who is of a lovely behavior, lovely nature, and lovely wisdom is called in this Dhamma Vinaya one who is fully accomplished, who has reached fulfillment, the supreme among humans. And how is a monk of lovely behavior? Here a monk is virtuous. He lives restrained by the restraint of the rules of discipline, endowed with perfect conduct and resort, seeing danger in the slightest faults. He undertakes the rules of training and trains in them. In this way, a monk is one who is of lovely behavior. Thus, he is of lovely behavior. This one, he has good sila. And how is he of a lovely nature? Here a monk lives engaged in cultivating the 7 groups of the requisites of enlightenment. In this way, a monk is one who is of a lovely nature. Thus, he is of a lovely behavior and lovely nature. This monk is of a lovely nature, is one who cultivates the 7 groups in the Bodhipakya Dhamma. What are these 7? The 4 Satipatthana, the 4 Iddhipada, the 4 right efforts, and then the 5 faculties, the 5 bala, the 5 powers, and then the 7 bojjhangas, and the 8, and the Noble Eightfold Path. These are the 7 groups. And how is he of lovely wisdom? Here, through realization by his own direct knowledge, a monk here and now enters and abides in the liberation by mind and liberation by wisdom, that is taintless by the destruction of the asavas. In this way, a monk is one who is of lovely wisdom. This one is an arahant, so he has great wisdom. Thus, he is of lovely behavior, lovely nature, and lovely wisdom. In this Dhamma Vinaya, he is called one who is fully accomplished, who has reached fulfillment and is supreme among humans. A conscientious monk who never does wrong in any way, neither by body, speech, or mind, is called one of lovely behavior. An unassuming monk who has cultivated well the states that lead to enlightenment is called one of lovely nature. A taintless monk who understands for himself the end of suffering here is called one of lovely wisdom. He who excels in these 3 things, untroubled, without destroyed, unattached in all the world, is called one who has abandoned all. 3.49 Dana Sutta. Monks, there are these 2 kinds of giving, the giving of material things and the giving of Dhamma. Of these 2 kinds of giving, this is the foremost, namely the giving of the Dhamma. There are these 2 kinds of sharing, the sharing of material things and the sharing of Dhamma. Of these 2 kinds of sharing, this is the foremost, namely the sharing of Dhamma. There are these 2 kinds of help with material things and help with Dhamma. Of these 2 kinds of help, this is the foremost, namely help with the Dhamma. When they say that giving is supreme and unsurpassed, and the Lord Himself has extolled sharing, who, wise and knowing, confident in the foremost field of merit, would not give at the appropriate time, both for those who proclaim it and for those who listen to it, confident in the Sublime One's teaching. The Supreme Good is fully purified as they live diligently in the teaching. 3.50 Te Vijja Sutta. Monks, I declare that it is through the Dhamma that one becomes a Brahmana, a holy man, possessing the 3-fold knowledge. I do not say this of another merely because he can talk persuasively and recite. But how do I declare that it is through the Dhamma that one becomes a Brahmana, possessing the 3-fold knowledge? Here, monks, a monk recollects a variety of former lives, that is, 1 birth, 2 births, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 births, 1,000 births, 100,000 births, many aeons of world contraction, many aeons of world expansion, many aeons of both world contraction and expansion. He recollects in a particular life being such a one by name, of such a clan, of such an appearance, having this kind of nutriment, experiencing these kinds of pleasure and pain, having this lifespan, and deceasing from there he arose here. Thus with all their details and particulars, he recollects a variety of former lives. This is the first knowledge attained by him. Ignorance is dispelled, knowledge has arisen, darkness is dispelled, light has arisen, as happens in one who lives diligent, ardent, and resolute. Then again, monks, with the divine eye, purified and surpassing the human, a monk sees beings passing away and reappearing, inferior and superior, fair and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate, and he understands how beings pass on according to their deeds. Thus, those worthy beings, practicing misconduct by body, speech, and mind, insulters of the noble ones, of wrong view and undertaking deeds in consequence of wrong view. When the body perishes, have been reborn after death in a state of misery, a bad born, a state of ruin, hell. But those worthy beings practicing good conduct by body, speech and mind, not insulters of the noble ones, of right view and undertaking deeds in consequence of right view. When the body perishes, have been reborn after death in a good born, a heavenly world. Thus he sees this with the divine eye, and he understands how beings pass on according to their deeds. This is the second knowledge attained by him. Ignorance is dispelled, knowledge has arisen, darkness is dispelled, light has arisen, as happens in one who lives diligent, ardent and resolute. Then again monks, a monk, through realization by his own direct knowledge, here and now enters and abides in the released by mind and released by wisdom, that is taintless by the destruction of the taints or asavas. This is the third knowledge attained by him. Ignorance is dispelled, knowledge has arisen, darkness is dispelled, light has arisen, as happens in one who lives diligent, ardent and resolute. Thus, monks, do I declare that it is through the Dhamma that one becomes a Brahmana, possessing the threefold knowledge. I do not say this of another, merely because he can talk persuasively and recite. He who knows his former lives, who sees heaven and states of woe, who reaches the end of birth, a sage and master of direct knowledge. By these three ways of knowing, one becomes a Brahmana, having the threefold knowledge. This is what I call the threefold knowledge, not another's babbling and reciting. This too is the meaning of what was said by the Lord, so I heard. So this is the end of chapter 3. This threefold knowledge is what the Buddha attained on the night of enlightenment. And also many of his disciples also attained the same.